Good morning and welcome. I believe it's July 20th. It's a Saturday. I want to welcome you to my live podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and here we are to fight CPS and save our children. That was right. Fight CPS. That's the Child Protection System. It's a branch of social services that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. Okay. I'd like to tell you about how they interact with this podcast. First, a warm welcome to all of my listeners and all my regulars in here for coming in to this podcast. It's the way they interact is there's three ways. Well, there's four ways you want to call it. One is just listening and do nothing. Two is to call in. Three is to text me comments, and fourth is to be a guest. So those are that's the way they interact with me. Now you found me on Facebook fighting CPS. Bob Pace fights CPS. Or fight CPS Bob Pace, I think how it goes. Now I'm broadcasting live on YouTube using the StreamYard application. Got something in my eye that keeps bothering me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my stomach pains or my eye, tired eyes or something. But anyway, one way is to call in. My number is already posted. It's 626-698-0990. Now that's my office number. It rings my phone. Let me make sure that everything is okay. Also, I'm trying to contact my regular people. The notifications sometimes work in a timely fashion, sometimes they don't. Okay. A second way to interact with this podcast is to send me comments, text me comments. Now, it's very important when you text a comment that it pertains to CPS. Your comments pertain to CPS. I got to put something in my eye. It's really killing me. Excuse me one moment. Okay, I'm back. My eyes should be better. Maybe a little watery, but it should be a little bit better. Thank you, Grace. Okay. So I was talking about comments. Oops, I lost them here. Let me see where they're at. Yeah. Um, we are dealing with the child protection system, so make sure your questions are pertaining to that. Please show your name, city, state, or country and be complete with your CPS case. It's very, very important that you say your whole case so don't have to play ping pong ball guessing. So if I ask you a comment and you answer, we go back and forth, and 15, 20 minutes later, we get the case. Best way to talk about your case is first start off, introduce yourself and what your family makeup is. What is your family? Is it a husband, wife? Is it a boyfriend, girlfriend? Is it partners? Um, are you just lovers? Is the father involved? Is the mother involved? Are there, several different fathers or mothers? Are you the grandma? Um, those are things that's important to start it off. Then they need to know what the allegations were with neglect or abuse, and a little bit more details about the allegation. Then I'd like to know about how your children were taken. Did you hand them over? Did the police come? Um, I don't know why my eyes look like they're closing. That's really weird. It's the lag. That's what it is. There must be a bad internet connection because there's lag somehow. Because my eyes are wide open, but it looks like on the screen that they're closing. And I think it's just the lag when I blink. It leaves them in the closing matter. There they go. It's a little bit better. Well, I'm surprised that my internet connection is bad. Anyway, I'm wide awake. I'm not sleeping. And you have to put up with the lag that may delay. See there, right now it just delayed me. Wow. Let me see if I can cut down. Maybe there's too many things open right now. That's probably what the problem is. I think when you do this application, okay. Okay. There we go. Got the applications closed, and you should be able to be less lag, I guess. There we go. Okay, and then you show your name, city, state, or country, and be complete with your case, as I already said before. And that's right. Show how you know, were you accused of, and how your children were apprehended, and then where you are at the moment. Where you are at the moment is very, very important. Very, very, very important. Mm. Mm. Okay. Oh, when I mentioned the countries, is a lot of you are calling from far away. You found me on Facebook, and I appreciate the countries because they too have a CPS issues. And my latest one was I had a new person from Bangladesh, and then New Delhi, India. And then of course, Africa was the latest one. It was from South Africa just yesterday in one of the provinces there, and it was really nice that they joined us. So in Africa, I have Mozambique, which is above South Africa. To the west of Mozambique is a country called Rwanda, and that's in East Africa. And then to the far left along the coast, on the west coast, is Liberia. So I've had a lot of interest from Africa in my podcast. I've had interest in Europe with England, Scotland, Wales, United Kingdom, and then I've had Denmark and Sweden. I've had several people from Canada, the east coast of Canada, Mexico, and then Australia. Then in South America, I've had Ghana call in. That's above Brazil, east of Venezuela. They have a town called Georgetown on the coast. But it's interesting talking to everybody about their CPS, the Child Protection System. And they're having issues like we are in the United States. I've talked to over 500 of you people. So anyway, I love to have comments come in, and it's great. The another way that you can interact with the podcast is be a guest. And all you have to do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. She's the show producer. And you're just going to send her an email. And you pick one of my 14 shows. I'm on 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, except on Sundays. Tomorrow I'll be on at 8. Every Sunday I'm on at 8 o'clock. And then evening at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So when you say you want to be a guest, you just tell her I want to be on Bob's Wednesday morning show or Bob's evening show on Friday. And the text to email Grace is at grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. And I have it posted on the screen. It's grace@vincentdavis.com. That's where you send the email. Well, I'm going to go back to the phone number. So that's up there and so forth. So I put a call out to all the regulars that come in here and did a notice there. So I want everybody to know that I'm a loving father. I have 6 children, 3 young, 3 older, and I have a wife of 32 years. And I care about every one of you and about your case because I too have been in fighting CPS for 15 years. On top of that, I've pretty much experienced or done everything you guys have experienced. So I'm not an attorney, but I have a lot of ideas. I have about 4 rules that can help you with your case. One rule is to get an attorney. Attorney is your key to success in your case. Another rule is to organize your paperwork. Get a notebook made up. Another rule is to learn to say no to social workers and police. Don't let them in your home. Don't let them take your children. And the last rule is you got to research the internet. Research everything you know about CPS in the area you live. That's what's really, really important. So I just want to know that it's not the end. You can resolve your issues. Okay, I'm back. And I want you to know that losing your child or your family breakup is not the end of the world. But dealing with the agency, I feel, is the worst time of your life. It's been my worst time. They're a liar. They're not transparent. And they don't want to do reunification. You see, the child protection system is supposed to protect your children from neglect, abuse, and family reunification, meaning when they break the family apart, they're supposed to put it back together. Because studies have shown that the best parents are the biological parents, not foster care, not Joe Schmidt down the street. It's the biological parents. So that is important. So wherever you are in your case, we can help you. As I said, I have those rules. I can talk about them in more detail, but those are things. I also have a list of topics. Maybe that's one of the reasons why maybe my internet slows. I got too many pages open. I got over 100 pages of topics in different states and so forth. So maybe I need to curtail a lot of this opening pages here. Hmm. Now, one thing you may want to know, and you've heard my stories, you listened before, the typical social worker doesn't care about you. And why I say that is that everybody I talk to, even the other day, I was speaking to a lady in Washington, D.C., who was raped in her new home, and then she was taking protective custody. She put her child, she thought, with a good family friend, and then she was raped again in police custody. And then her son, or her child, got molested by the family member she thought she was trusting to. So there's horrible cases out there. I've heard them all on this show. It's terrible. And I know around the world there's been horrible treat against humanity. And it's a shame because as a parent, we're not born with all the knowledge as a parent. We don't have an owner's manual. When you buy a new car, you get an owner's manual. You can read about it. But when you're born, you don't have a manual. You learn from your teaching of your mother and father, if they care. And most of them do care. I'm not saying they don't, but there's a lot of absentee fathers that abandon their children. Now, I don't know why my eyes are closing, but they're not closing. It's the, this is frustrating. Um, I don't know. That's scary. Anyway, as you grow, you learn from experience. You touch a stove, it's hot, so you know not to touch a stove that's hot. You use a hammer and you hit your thumb. You know that they have to be careful with tools. We learn through trial and error. But with CPS, it is bad. It is so bad because there's vindictive social workers. In fact, example, this CPS takes place in Prescott, Arizona. They call their CPS system, they call it the DCS, the Department of Children's Services. Anyway, in Prescott, Arizona, in the year 2022, there were 8 social workers, all women, all white, and they decided to buy pink t-shirts. And on the front of the t-shirts, it said professional kidnappers. Just those big, bold words, professional kidnappers. And on the back, they said, do you know where your children are? Now, what kind of social worker is that? that pray, and they also prayed around at Walmart, Costco, Target, all the department stores until they were caught, and then of course they were terminated. They were terminated pretty quick, and the director was also terminated. They fired the whole department. There's only one person left. And it's good that they were fired, but the problem is that I don't think anybody learned anything from that episode. I don't know. Um, you know, we don't need those kinds of people working in social services. It's hard enough if we're trying to scrape for food, or we're trying to scrape for diapers, or we're trying to scrape for anything. It's hard enough in our life. A lot of us are low income. A lot of us have hit troubled time. So, we don't need anything more worse. And I hate to tell you that the Child Protection Services is like you're Alice in Wonderland. You fall in a rabbit hole and you're going from room to room to room, off with your head. Nothing making sense, no help. They lead you on, they dump you, and everything else. So I tell you, I implore you to be very careful and not talk to social workers, not talk to the police. And if you feel uncomfortable anytime talking to them, then all you have to do is say, hey, I need to speak to my attorney. It's my civil right. You go talk to an attorney. If you're in trouble and CPS is trouble, you're entitled to talk to your attorney. It's a good way for a timeout. You just leave the door open. You say, look, I need your name and I'll get back to you, but I need to talk to my attorney before we go any further. And that's an easy way to give you a little bit of time. Now, you may not have an attorney. You may have to find one, but they don't know that. They don't know what you have. You have to understand they're fishing. Someone is called in and made an allegation against you. That could be a professional or a lay person. The professional is required to by law. If they notice a kid all beat up at school, the teacher is going to call the child protection system. So it's really important that you understand that. And be very careful what you say or what you do around social workers or police or anything like that. Whew. Now, it's very important that you keep track of everything. A lot of the mistakes I'm preaching about, they were my mistakes because I didn't follow them. I had a terrible case. My case was, I didn't know who was calling making all the complaints for 5 years. Every week I get a phone call. Your kids are not being fed. Your kids have been reported that they're not going to school. Your kids are reported that they don't have electricity. Your kids are reported they're not wearing clothes. Your kids are reported they're not taking showers. Well, who would say all those things? And what it was my in-laws. I did not know that my wife's mother and father and sisters and brothers were trying to take our kids from us. They were trying to use CPS and abuse it. And that's why I think when allegations are made, they need to be made in writing and signed by the person making them. And if they lie, they need to be prosecuted. It's wrong for people to use the child protection system to get their children, other people's children away, or to do harm to the family. That does harm to the family. It does harm. It's hard enough, and then your children are suddenly put on the spot, and they're investigated or interrogated, and it's sad. It really is sad. Something that may be a small problem has mushroomed into a huge problem. All possible, stay away from CPS. They're not your friend. They're not your friend. Hmm. Now, my case started off for 5 years of false allegations. And every time I saw them, I told them that wasn't the case. I showed them paperwork that paid the utility bills. I showed them my kids' grade reports, showing they're in school. Those kinds of things. I had them in my house, and everything was fine. My house was fine. There was no problem with it or anything. So they did this for 5 years. And then one time they decided to get help from the local police department where I lived and got a detective to follow me and I guess do whatever they want for the social services. Well, he followed me after I picked up my son from school for a long time. I don't know if he was trying to find out where I'm taking my son or what I'm doing. But I was in the process of going to get the mother who's downtown, and that's when the black and white that was driving by turned around rapidly and came up behind me and put the lights on. And when the traffic officer came out and said, uh, stupid remark, I mean, police sometimes are so stupid. Instead of saying, hi there, good day, or put the person at ease, or may I see your driver's license or vehicle registration? Right away, he's in there. Did you know you ran a stop sign? It was threatening. It wasn't a friendly voice. I said, well, no, not really. There's been 3 lights that I stopped at. The stop sign I think you're referring to was way back in my schools about 15 minutes ago. Well, this guy behind me wants to talk to you. I guess what it was, if the detective tried to pull me in some unmarked cop car, I guess it wouldn't stop or something. So, and again, he didn't say hi or well or anything like that. He says, I want you to follow me to your home. That was the only option he gave me. It was crazy. And if I knew now what I knew now, I should have told the traffic guy, give me the ticket. Or the detective, arrest me if I've done something wrong. Arrest me if I've done something wrong. And I didn't think about those things, but if I did those things, I wouldn't have had a CPS case. It was just, it's a wave of circumstances. Also, a lot of vindictive by the police, vindictive by the um, child protection services. A lot of that going on. And it was a horrible, horrible experience. Because that day they took my kids that were in imminent danger. They were not in imminent danger. Now, imminent danger means their life is being hurt, maybe being slammed against the wall, excessive punishment. They're doing drugs. There's a gun battle going on. There's domestic violence, all those kinds of things. So they asked for my son, who was with me, and like a fool, I gave it to him. I should have never done that. Then they went to my schools of my other 2 kids and picked them up. Of course, being more trauma on my kids as it is. Because losing a job is a hard thing to lose. Not be able to work or get the money, and you have to tell your family that we have to be Spartans and no sodas, no sweets, no chips, no Disneyland passes. We had to be bare bones. Now, my case got worse after they picked up the kids. They put them in what they call a foster care shelter. What it looked like a prison. Why? Because the building next to it was the juvenile prison. It certainly didn't look friendly. It was dirty, unkempt, understaffed, and overloaded with people, and the food was terrible. The accommodations were bad, and so forth. Now, We went to visit them that night, the day they were taken. And it was a horrible experience. They didn't know what was happening. They really don't. And they like to keep it that way. And the play area was right next to the play area of the prison, the juvenile prisoners. So then my kids were exposed to that. There's also beehives, the bees stinging people. And bees can be hard. I mean, but that's your play area. And so here they are. They're with the juvenile prisoners with the bees eating. I don't know what kind of food you call it. And they weren't able to sleep comfortably. It was a terrible experience. Then their idea of school was a worker would read them a book. Now, how can you read a book if your kids are taking a science class, a technology class, an engineering class, and a math class? They were in upper level, they were doing STEM. They were doing they wanted to be engineers. They don't want to read about how Mary had a little lamb. I mean, what does Mary with a little lamb have to do with calculus or physics? I mean, come on, real. That is your shelter for kids. My kids were worse shape than they were at home. At least they had a secure room they could sleep in. They had a bathroom. They could take a shower and everything. They didn't have to worry about bees. They didn't have to worry about prisoners attacking them. And they could learn every day they went to school. Every day they went to school. We always had food. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Welcome, Faye. All right. Sorry, Faye. Yeah, everybody but me is here. I'm glad to have you, Faye. I'm trying to have a good day. Somehow the internet has got me so bad that my eyes closed because of the lag. I'm sitting here trying to hold my eyes open really wide, but that looks strange. And so I'm not sleeping. I'm wide awake, Faye. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. We're talking a little bit about my case because you're the first person that is talking in here. So that's great. What would you like to talk about, Faye? Is there something that you like to talk about? Okay. Maybe there's something you like some information on or help on, Faye. I'm all yours. To help you with your son. I mean, you're trying to get custody of your son. So what's the latest of that? What's the latest of that? Still working with the probate court. Okay. Yeah, I guess it does take a long time with the probate court. I'm looking up something in here at the moment here. So anyway, my case got worse and worse. The more that you fight CPS, the more that they retaliate. It's really sad. You meet with the directors, you try to replace the social workers. They're so corrupt. Everywhere you turn, they lie to you. They trick you. They make you try to sign forms.
And then we have those people come and talk to you.
And then they have these people that are supposed to help you, and they don't help you. They don't help you. Like the CASA, they have people. What they are, they're open ears. They listen and then they report everything you tell them.
These old ladies come and talk to you.
Yeah, Faye, I'm sorry to hear about your dog. That pit bull that bit you. It's sad that the dog warden won't do anything about that. Maybe you need to, Faye, call the governor. Maybe you need to go to the top and call the senator or somebody there about that dog. There's got to be someone who will help you. Maybe you need to call Joe Biden. He's got nothing else to do. I'm typing in a quick little spiel there. Yeah, they sit on their butt. That's why you need to call people. I mean, I'm not afraid. I've called my governors. I'll call anybody to get things made right. Faye is reading that. Do you know that foster care is the pipeline to prison, sex trafficking, and organ traffickers? I had no idea that foster care is that. Where did you find that out, Faye? Where did you find that out? Okay. Okay, I'll Google it. I'll see what I find up here. Foster care is the pipeline for what? The foster care to prison pipeline refers to the funneling of children in foster care to juvenile detention or adult incarceration. That was in October 18th, 2023. In 2020, the Children Bureau at the Administration for Children and Family, a division of the United States Department of Health and Services, reported there's approximately 407,000 children in foster care. The foster care to prison pipeline refers to the funneling of children in foster care into juvenile detention or adult incarceration. By age 17, over 50% of the foster children would have encountered with the juvenile legal system through arrest, conviction, or detention. In addition, 25% of the youth in foster care will be involved with the criminal legal system within 2 years of leaving foster care. If a child has moved to 5 or more placements, they're at a 90% risk of being involved with the criminal legal system. From the war on drugs to the school to the prison pipeline, researchers have continuously traced ways of mass incarceration to the political atmosphere. The most recent trend is the foster to care prison pipeline. Is no different. Despite fewer children entering foster care today, they say it's lower as compared to 3 years ago. The likelihood that a child in foster care will interact with the criminal legal system has increased. In fact, one study shows that 7% of the former foster care youth were arrested at least once before the age of 26. Even though social service is doing its best to provide homes for the children in its care, the institution of the foster care system puts children at risk for further institutionalization in their adult life. Often children enter foster care have been neglected, abused, and traumatized for life, but are expected to adjust to a foster care home or placement on short notice. Children may have to change schools, move their belongings in a trash bag, and are potentially placed with untrained foster parents due to the shortage of adequate foster family. Due to the deeply flawed foster care system, many children who need safe and secure environments are left with a lack of structure and resources, creating the foster to prison pipeline. Wow, Faye, how does that sound? How does that sound? Welcome, Christina Renzenzo. Welcome here. She is, I guess, from New Mexico. Her case was in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, but she also has a case out here in California. Yeah, it does sound. And you were once a foster kid 5 times, Faye, but you've turned out great. Somehow you've escaped what so many of those foster kids were trapped into. Okay. Hmm. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. Does anybody want to call in? My number is 626-698-0990. It's kind of a slow morning. I know it's not very fast. Yeah, hi, Christina. Oh, boy. Foster care and organ trans. Oh, geez, that sounds terrible. Foster care and organ transplant. Faye, I didn't word it right because it didn't come up. It came up of how children need a transplant. Oh, I'm very much interested in your email, Christina. The problem being is I can't get to my email account. I called the office that I work for, but they haven't got back to me. Apparently, my password was locked. I don't know why, but I did try reset it. So I've not forgotten you, Christina. I will chance to read my email. Oh, trafficking, not transplant. Okay, organ trafficking. I'm sorry. Oh boy, I blew it. Looked at the wrong thing there. Looked at the wrong thing. Yep, here it is. You're right, Faye. Recent stories about human trafficking in the United States already has made headlines. Many of these stories have offered false narratives and theories about human trafficking rings and human trafficking leaders. Those theories unfortunately cloud the actual threat of human trafficking for many children, teens, and adults across the nation, especially those currently or former in foster care. One family in Illinois has shed light on the topic of human trafficking in the United States. It's a devastation connection to children and teens and foster care and how they're making a difference.
John, yesterday I saved a lady. Last night I went for a walk outside here. And
Okay.
I just want to tell you this. The bad dude's out there.
Thank you, Faye. Christina, I'm very much interested in your email. I've tried to get into it, and it's been really hard to get a hold of my office. So, all right, what am I missing here, Faye? You want to call in and talk to me for the last 5 minutes? You want to call in at 626-698-0990 and explain to me what you're talking about?
And I walked down and I told her to stay with me for a little while so we make sure that Sina's safe. And then we can go to her homes, like her directions to her house. She's like, thank you so much. She's like, you're saving me. So, then on top of it, I had the spray from the pizza. I always carry it now. You know, you should get a spray. You need to buy a spray for yourself. You need one. You know what's up? If somebody tries to hurt you, even if they did, they're trying to do something that they can watch something in the spray right now. You know what I saw all the time? I'm going to go to the shower.
Well, I did find the page there, Faye. I just read it to you. And it's really, really sad. It really is sad. There's a thing called organ harvesting. It's a rare form of trafficking where children are exploited for the purpose of using, buying, and selling, otherwise accommodating your parts of the body. Now, when my trips to Brazil, all the trips I made to Brazil over 25 times, there's the street children in Brazil, especially in the Rio area. In fact, there's a road from the airport to downtown Rio. It's called the President's Highway because it's supposed to not see the poverty that's happened in Brazil. But the kids come out at night and they beg for money, and you got to be careful because you don't want to give them money because they will jump you. They will jump you. And so these children are exploited by the rich people in Brazil for body parts like new eyeballs, even a heart or something. They don't care, and the childs are thrown away. I know that in Brazil firsthand that child protection is really bad there. There's no one protecting those children. They go in really in groups of gangs of 15 or 20, and they will come and strip you. If you're alone and you walk the streets, they will come and get you. So you never want to walk alone. In fact, it's best to hire a bodyguard when you're in Brazil. I had one all the time, and it was related to my surfing trips down there. And when I went and visited people home, they have an extra door on the outside, and that extra door protects you. The extra door does protect you. But I want to tell you that trafficking is really bad, and organ trafficking is really bad, Faye. There's no question about that. But I want to thank all of you for listening to my podcast. I'll be on again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget, you can be my guest on my podcast. All you need to do is type in to email me, grace@vincentwdavis.com. And I want to thank you. I want you to have good luck with your case. Don't give up. I care about you, and God bless you. This is Bob Pace signing off.